You are listening to A Scary State, and this week we're talking about Washington. So, Lauren?
Yes, Kenzie?
Let's get scary.
Let's get scary.
Did you have a good birthday?
I had an amazing birthday. We went to a brewery.
Mm-hmm.
All of my friends were there to surprise me.
Mm-hmm.
You being one of them.
Could
was
you imagine if I wasn't?
No. It was a death to my 20s party theme, which was amazing. And then we went to karaoke. And what is so funny is some of the videos I watched, I was like, I do not remember singing that song.
I think by far my favorite moment of the night was when you walked back in and not so subtly said to everyone, I can't get myself buttoned up. I'm like, looking at you. I was like, I don't see a fucking button.
Yeah.
And you're like, I think I'm just too drunk. I cannot get myself buttoned up. Then you text me.
I saw my text the next day and I was like, oh man.
And so then you come over, we're trying to decide a song, and you say to me, like, I couldn't button myself up. I said, do you want me to go and help you? And so we went to the bathroom and I buttoned you up.
Because I was wearing a really cute bodysuit for anyone who wants to know.
Never been so up in another girl's business in my fucking life. Like, holy crap. But it was so, oh my God, it was so funny. So funny. I can't button myself up. Oh, what a hoot.
And
what
then Joe told
hoot.
me you were mean, and you told me that Tyler's name was Taylor. And then I got very confused between it being Taylor and Tyler. When I know what his name is, I don't remember that conversation at all.
We were all saying bye, and you accidentally said Taylor. And I don't know if I called you out on it, and you're like, no, I know it's Tyler. And then I said, it's Taylor. I knew that you would be too drunk to notice, and you would say it again. I think I might have told Tyler that, like, I'm like, wow, she just said your name was Taylor. And he's like, what? I was like, yeah, you said his name was Taylor. And you're like, no, it's Taylor. No. I mean, it's Tyler. I know that it's Tyler.
And when Joe told me that, I was like, ooh, bits and parts coming back from that.
I have seen a whole new side of you.
Oh, yeah, I was really drunk.
Yeah. You were me up at karaoke with just normal level of moving around. I was very excited to see you bebopping around. And you did one by yourself.
I know.
Wow.
I know.
Impressive.
Thank you. Thank you. When I am
impressed.
too drunk, it doesn't matter.
No, it doesn't.
The songs they come out of me.
Do you remember when right before we left, you, me, and Joe all went into the same bathroom?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Very vaguely, yes.
Yeah.
Yes, very vaguely. There are a lot of little bits that night that they're not there.
So when we were in the bathroom, I think I went first, you went second. Joe's going, I'm washing my hands. And you're like, button me. And I'm like, we're leaving. Just tuck it in. So you tuck it in. And then you're in front of me. And Joe's like, we can't let her go out like that. The tail back half is on the outside of your pants. I was like, oh my God. Just like tucked it in. So funny.
That's why it was
God.
so easy to get off when I got home.
Oh my, yes. I was like, we're not buttoning this again. You can just tuck it in.
But
man.
yes, it was amazing. It was a great way to ring in my 30s.
Yeah, man. How'd you feel the next day?
Not as awful as I thought I would.
That's good.
I woke up at like 7:30 and I washed my face and I brushed my teeth because I did not wash my face before bed.
Wow. That's how you know.
I know. I always do. I did not. Wasn't able to. And then I took ibuprofen.
Yeah.
And then we woke up again at like 10:30.
Nice.
So I slept a good amount of time.
Good. That's always best.
For me at my old age, as long as I sleep after I drink, I'm usually good.
No. Yeah, just anytime. Now the problem is it doesn't matter how much I have, especially if it's wine, I'm gonna get heartburn. And that is very annoying.
Joe and I ate a lot of Tums on Saturday.
Oh my God. I ate some before I left.
We did too.
I ran out and I didn't have any after, not this past weekend, but the weekend before. And I was dying.
Oh no.
I had to like sit up in bed and be like, my chest and throat are burning.
You're already a 30-year-old.
I think I'm more like 65.
Okay. Same thing.
Yeah.
All right. Let us get into Washington.
Washington.
Mount Rainier's ice-covered peak boils beneath the surface. When people think of volcanoes, they often think of lava spilling over the Hawaiian Islands. Washington's Cascades, part of a range stretching from British Columbia to California, are home to a very different type of volcano. The most ice-covered peak in the 48 mainland states, Mount Rainier, is one of the Pacific Northwest's most active volcanoes. I didn't know that.
Mm-hmm.
Standing more than 14,000 feet above sea level, it's also the highest of the 2,700 peaks in Washington. The advanced climb at Mount Rainier is a 9,000-foot increase in elevation that stretches over 8 miles, and even expert climbers have lost their lives here. From the top on clear days, climbers are able to see across state lines to the top of Oregon's Mount Hood. With over 260 miles of maintained trails at Mount Rainier National Park, there's no need to summit the peak to enjoy the scenery. That's where I hiked at.
Oh, yeah?
Mount Rainier National Park, yeah.
Oh, fun. Did you go all the way to the summit?
Well, not of Mount Rainier. There was a mountain next to it that you could see the summit of Mount Rainier the entire time you're hiking up. Oh my God, it was the most beautiful thing I've ever seen in my entire life.
That definitely sounds much better than...
It was beautiful.
Yeah.
And there was one part where we're hiking and we look up and there's like an outlook up there, or an overlook. And I was like, wow, how do you think people get up there? And Freddie, Christine's boyfriend, was joking around. He's like, that's where we have to climb. And I said, there's no way. That's where we had to climb. It was so steep. And
on the outside?
It's like a trail that goes up,
okay.
But it's the steepest trail. Oh my God. At the top, we were all dying. And like, as people are going down, they're like cheering you on. They're like, you're almost there. You got this. Because like, you're red, you're sweating, you can't breathe.
Oh man.
Oh my gosh.
Me,
it was
every time we record.
Yeah, exactly. But no, oh my God, it was beautiful.
Oh, I can imagine.
We walked so many miles that day. Okay.
A hike would do that.
Meriwether Lewis and William Clark, the first Americans sent on an expedition to explore the West, arrived here in 1805, but they soon returned back east. I did not know his first name was Meriwether.
Really?
I might have, but I did not recall that information now.
Oh, okay.
For part of the early 19th century, the British and Americans shared ownership of the region. The two nations signed a treaty that divided the land in 1846. America's Oregon Territory, which included the land that would become Washington, was established. The British took control over what's now Canada to the north. The state of Washington was created in 1889. I used that date recently for something. Was it with Edgar Cayce?
It might have been, because both of our stories from there were like
1800.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mine was mid, yours was late.
Yeah.
Yeah.
With half the state covered in forests, it's no surprise that Washington is one of the country's largest lumber and plywood producers. The state is also known for mining valuable metals such as gold, lead, and aluminum.
Aluminium.
I was just about to say that.
Did you see the TikTok I sent you about the lady correcting the British on their pronunciation of French words?
It wouldn't open for me.
Okay, so I'll just tell you about it. So, per my last statement on this show about the only time I have American pride is when the Brits come for us.
Mm-hmm. When they come for us.
And this video it starts off of this British guy who's giving Americans a hard time for saying croissant with the T instead of croissant.
Croissant.
And
a little croissant with butter.
Cheese.
Oh, it was cheese.
Cheese.
Oh. Oh, I haven't seen it in a while.
I'm telling you, the things that my memory actually retains.
I know.
It's just so quick to correct. No, it's cheese. Anyway, so she comes in and she's like, oh, well, then we have, it's a bunch of other French words. I don't remember what they are, but they're like commonly used words.
Right.
Just French origin. And then she's like, I know we're talking about French, but, now that we're on the subject, and she started talking about Mexican words like guacamole and how they say guacamole, which is so wrong. So wrong. I can't even remember how she did it. I'll show it to you later. But
okay.
It was pretty much being like, okay, don't come for us or else we're about to blow this shit out of the water. And we did. We were like, okay, here's all the French shit you say wrong, asshole. And it was just so glorious. And everyone was coming together in the comments. And it's beautiful. And that is what I mean when I say I have American pride. Only when the Brits come for us.
We'll watch it after.
Yes.
Washington produces more sweet cherries, apples, pears, and red raspberries than any other state. It's also the birthplace of Rainier cherries, a pink and gold variety that's known for being super sweet. Washington is the only state to be named after a president. Duh. With more than 3,000 glaciers, Washington is the most glaciated of the 48 contiguous states. There are 25 major glaciers on Mount Rainier alone. Wow.
Not like to try to put you down anyway, because it doesn't happen very often. It is really, really nice when I get to correct your reading. Like, it makes me feel like I'm not actually that big of a failure. That big. I left room, okay?
So I talk about this lake in my story for very brief. So this is great context.
Oh, good. You don't have to take out my fact.
Nope. Lake
Erase half of the information.
Lake Chelan?
I have no idea.
Well, it's the deepest lake in the state of Washington and the third deepest lake in the country. The lake's lowest point is 387 feet or 118 meters below sea level. That's real low.
That's low. Low. Can you go?
The waters of the Shalish Sea, including Pungent Sound. Pungent?
I think that sounds right.
It's not pungent. That's not right.
Pungent? No. Puget?
Puget. Including Puget Sound, are home to a resident population of orca whales. 3 orca families called J, K, and L pods, known collectively as the southern residents, frequent these waters each year. Joe, Kenzie, and Lauren pods.
Aww. Wow, look at that.
Grand Coulee Dam is the largest hydropower producer in the United States.
How did you know that was a ch instead of a coo?
I don't.
Oh.
See, confidence, Mackenzie. The dam produces enough power to supply about 2 million households with electricity for 1 year. That's impressive.
Imagine.
Imagine what?
Just what we could do with alternative resources.
Yeah.
And not blow up the planet.
Yeah.
Imagine.
At 286 feet, Snoqualmie Falls is about 100 feet higher than New York's Niagara Falls. What this means is... Stretching about 28 miles, the Long Beach Peninsula is the largest contiguous beach in the United States.
That might have been. Oh, no, it means... Okay, never mind.
The city of Spokane hosts the world's largest 3-on-3 outdoor basketball tournament known as Hoop Fest each year. The event features more than 6,000 teams and 425 courts spanning 45 city blocks. Wow.
Yeah.
The state of Washington is the second largest wine-producing region in the country, boasting more than 1,000 wineries and 60,000 plus acres of wine grapes over 19 American viticultural areas, AVAs. More than 75% of the country's hops are grown in the Yakima Valley.
Yakima.
I knew you love Yakima. And as Washington, I actually really loved Washington. I had that weird thing that I told you where I really had to go to Seattle, and I don't know why I really had to go to Seattle, but I was able to go.
And it was everything
It really was.
you hoped for?
It really was. And I was able to get out of my system because my mom was like, why do you have this thing? And I said, I really don't know.
Well, I'm glad that it didn't disappoint. You know what they say about meeting your heroes.
No, it did not disappoint at all.
Good.
Roy's still shutting.
I thought I was ready. So what spooky tea you pouring, Lauren? God, I'm getting so good with that.
I know. And then you're going to mess up because you're going to overthink it.
Well, eventually it'll just be like the intro where I don't think anymore. It's always the best option.
I don't think, I just do. Okay, so today I have a smorgasbord of urban legends from Washington State.
We love it.
We do. All right. So located on the outskirts of Maltby, Washington.
And on the outskirts down, I sit from you.
The Maltby Cemetery was established in 1889.
There you go. There it is.
Wow. During a rapid period of growth in the Pacific Northwest, the area became known for its lumber and agricultural industries. So the cemetery became the final resting place for many, to include pioneers who played a large role in shaping the local communities. And surprise, surprise, the Maltby Cemetery is a rather dangerous and haunted place. Just to get to the actual cemetery, you have to travel through the woods, down unkempt trails and paths, and just not great stuff.
No question.
Yes. 2 sentences, and what is your question?
It's more of like a what do you think kind of question than specifically a detail from here.
Okay.
So like cemeteries, they all have dead people in them. That's like the point. So are they all haunted or just certain ones?
Maybe just certain ones. Or maybe all of them. There's no way to know.
I guess not.
Maybe some have happier and nicer spirits than other ones.
So there's less to have to report on.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
Yeah. So the road just outside of the cemetery, like outside of the woods of the cemetery, is a common area for car accidents. So the person's car will stop working and the driver will lose all control of their car.
Oh my.
Many people who have experienced an accident around here while driving have reported hearing something as the accident is happening, like a woman talking to them.
Ooh.
Though it's hard to make out the words. So they'll hear like a woman's voice, but they won't know what the voice is saying.
Is it like, well, not that you would know because you weren't there, but I imagine that it's like, have you ever been like kind of dozing
Oh,
and like you swear to God you hear a voice, but
Yes.
then you're like, no, it's probably my dream.
yeah. Again, I don't know. Haven't
Mm.
experienced it.
Yeah.
But one person said that they were driving and they got into an accident and like the tow truck came to like, help him out or whatever.
Mhm.
And the guy was like, "Did you hear a voice?" And the lady was like, "Yeah."
Yeah.
Because as they were like, the car was like careening wherever it was careening to, they heard like a woman talking to them. Yeah. Apparently, on the side of the hill, on the trail that leads to the cemetery, you can see tons of old wrecked cars.
Oh my
Mhm.
God.
People have reported seeing the apparition of a woman floating through the cemetery. Others have seen a woman and a young boy dressed in old, ragged, and tattered clothes. Others have even claimed that the apparitions have pushed them away when they strayed too close to a certain grave. So it's
Ooh.
believed that the mother and son will push people away from their grave.
Ooh.
If you're in
bad
the
people.
just any person.
Oh.
Yeah. Bad people. If you're in the cemetery at night, you can walk down the row of headstones and grave markers. But it is said that when you get to the end and turn around to head back, one of those grave markers has turned into a magnificent headstone. And it'll be one of the things where like you turn around and you notice something's different and you can't figure it out at first. And then you realize something that was just like a marker is now a gravestone.
That's like a game I play. I have to determine the difference between the two pictures.
Oh,
And I'm looking at an area and I'm like, I know there's something different here, but I don't know what it is.
Yes, exactly like that. Whispers have been heard on the wind, and eerie lights are seen dancing among the tombstones. And of course, it is also rumored that devil worshippers used to meet in the cemetery every Halloween.
See, them, I could give a free pass for going at night. But everyone else, why are you going to a cemetery at night?
I will get to why. But one guy told of a time when he went with some of his friends back in 1992. As they were walking through the woods, they saw a fire with a few people standing around it. So they like kind of crouched in the woods and were looking at these people. The people around the fire started sacrificing animals. Yeah. So
what a sight to see.
they had their guns. They like shot it into the air as warning shots. The people scattered. Manly men. One of the most popular and well-known urban legends about this cemetery are the 13 steps.
Not the sacrificed animals.
Nope. Nope. So the 13 steps are exactly what they sound like. 13 stairs that start at the ground floor and lead down.
Shut up. It's 13 stairs?
I know.
Wow.
It's really shocking.
Holy cow. Was not expecting that.
I
at
know.
all.
Twists. So at one point between the years of 1905 and 1967, the stairs... It'll make sense why. The staircase descended down under the earth to the entrance of what used to be the tomb of a wealthy local family. So the tomb sat there for 62 years. It's not just random spans of time.
Damn. Okay, continue.
The tomb is said to no longer exist, but the connections to Satan still do.
Naturally.
This is one of the main places where the Satan worshippers were said to meet every Halloween at these stairs.
What's interesting?
What?
Is that it's stairway to heaven, not stairway to hell. It's highway to hell. But yet all these staircases we talk about are always to hell.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, because it's not a long enough distance to have a highway. Or then it would be a slide.
Correct.
So according to the legend, if you want to find the stairs and go down them, you have to go to the cemetery sometime after midnight. I don't know why you want to find them, but...
Not worth it.
So this is when you can start looking for the stairway. Once you find it, you can start what is known as the descent, where you go down the stairs.
Thank you for clearing that up. I was confused for a second.
Yeah. So suddenly, as you are descending, all sound will cease. It'll feel as if everything in the world has stopped moving all at once. This will already be creepy and chilling, but the true terror and fear comes when you reach the bottom step. At this point, once you reach the bottom step, if you turn around, you will behold an evil vision of hell. Some
What
people...
if it's a mirror?
That wouldn't make any sense.
Yeah, you look in the mirror and it's this evil face of hell.
Of your face?
Yeah. It's funny.
Okay.
The worst thing of all, my face.
That would be my fear too.
Lauren, you're not that ugly, okay?
But you are not.
Okay.
I'm just kidding. You are beautiful.
Are we gonna go?
There were so many times on this podcast I said you are beautiful. Okay. Some people can walk back up the stairs, back to the normal world and be okay, but only very few are okay.
So I know that the headstone or whatever is not there anymore, but
The stairwell.
didn't you say it led to a tomb?
Yeah.
The tomb's still there. The stairwell's not.
Right.
Oh, okay. Sorry. I got that confused. Okay. Is the stairwell inside the thing? Or is it I'm trying to imagine.
How
I
picture it is like a basement stairwell.
Okay. But you're not seeing dirt on the side of you as you go down.
No, I would think how I think of it
cellar?
is like concrete, that you're going down.
Okay. That's what I was wondering. What am I supposed to picture here?
Yeah, like my stairs, going into my basement, just picture it like concrete on the sides now.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
At least that's how I pictured it.
Yeah.
There are no pictures.
Ah,
yeah.
Great.
Yes. So some who have descended the stairs have had their knees buckle or they pass out from fear. Others have emerged from the stairway in a state of complete shock, sometimes never speaking again.
I would do that just for the
You never speaking again.
Oh, I thought they just meant about this specifically.
No, they never speak again.
Oh, yeah, no. I wouldn't.
Mute.
Oh, yeah, no. Never mind. I take it back.
Yeah.
I thought they just meant about this. And I was like, I'd do that for dramatic effect.
No, when you said I would do that, I was like, Kenzie.
I didn't realize it was indefinitely, so never mind.
Yeah, no. Some have fallen into a coma. Others have gone mad from the sights that they saw. Some reports even say that people will disappear when they reach the bottom of the steps, only to reappear miles away without any knowledge of what had happened or how they are now in a new location.
You know what's weird? Is for one of my classes, my writing classes, I wrote a story about, it was it starts off as a doorway and there's a really long tunnel that you go through. And when you end up on this other side, you're in a completely different place than you were when you started.
Ew.
Yeah.
Maybe you were talking about the stairs.
I mean, sounds like it. Sounds like it was a real place. Maybe I'd been there and I didn't remember.
Ooh. Another legend of it says that at the bottom of the stairs sits a chair. If you sit on the chair, it automatically means that you have sold your soul to the devil.
Is there a sign for that? Because I feel like that needs to be explained.
I don't think the devil cares.
What if you're tired and you want to sit? I always want to sit.
The devil's going to be like, easy prey.
I feel like I could totally take them to court for that.
Mr. Devil, you are going to court.
You have been served.
All those cartoons of the devil being this big guy with the huge horns. I can just picture it where he's holding the note and it's damn.
Yeah, you weren't explicit in your contract details. So I get to get out of it on technicality.
So it's not always easy to find these stairs, though. Others who have visited the cemetery with the intention of finding the stairs have said that the weather, horrible and heavy fog, makes them turn around. Cars stop working and won't start the moment you decide to finally leave the area.
I was going to say, what if if it knows that you're looking for it, it'll do things to deter you from being able to?
Yes, this group of guys, they wanted to find the stairs. So they parked, they walked through the woods, and it was really, really creepy and dark and foggy that they couldn't see anything. So they turned around and they were like, we'll try another time. They got in their car and they couldn't start their car. And all this other creepy stuff happened. But,
yeah.
So it is said in the recent years, these stairs have been bulldozed over and filled in with cement. It is rumored that local kids still try to find the stairs, digging in the dirt to do so. The property is also off limits. So if you go, you will be considered trespassing, as the land is now private property.
I mean,
so don't go.
I feel like at this point, pretty much all cemeteries have become that because of
stupid people.
Yeah.
Yes. So naturally, we have some stories of those who were able to make it to the stairs before it was filled in with cement. So these are their stories. Dun, dun. I literally have in my notes. Dun, dun. One boy claimed he attempted the descent when he was 16. He and a group of friends made their way to the cemetery. After an hour or so of searching, they finally found the stairs. I don't know how big the cemetery is. It takes you an hour to find the stairs.
How long would you go for? What's your max time you would look for it?
I would not.
Okay.
But I feel like after 15 minutes, I'd be kind of bored.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
How about you?
If we're going based on my fear level, 5 tops. You don't find it in 5 minutes, sucks.
I look, don't see it, leave.
Yeah. If I wasn't a chicken shit,
I think if I weren't scared, maybe 30 minutes.
30 minutes, yeah.
Yeah, anything more than that is kind of
yeah,
it's a long time.
It also depends because if I have just taken my Adderall and I fixate, then we're spending the whole night there.
They spent 6 hours looking for the stairs. So they find the stairs. They attempted to shine their flashlight down, but when they did, the dark seemed to absorb their light and they couldn't see a thing.
Ooh.
The witness claimed that he began walking down the stairs alone. After the first couple of steps, he started to feel a little sick. After 2 more, he felt lightheaded, and 2 after that, he felt like he was going to be sick. He decided that was enough and he turned to flee. He claims that as he was turning to leave, he heard muffled screams coming from behind him. He then felt hands pushing him back up the stairs.
That's like those stairs are the epitome of having to run up your basement stairs really fast because you think something's chasing you.
Yes. Oh, 100%.
As soon as I would see that light can't illuminate it like it's supposed to, I'd be like, I'm out.
Yep. Because that right there is just...
No.
So as he finally exited the stairwell, he discovered that his friends had been screaming to him. He told them that he had only been able to make it down 6 steps, but his friends said that he had completely disappeared into the darkness and was out of view. And he said he was like a 6-foot-tall guy. Like, you should have seen him at 6 stairs. He has never gone back to the steps and says he never will.
Well, he's smart.
Another person claimed that he made it to stair 5 before his heart was beating so hard, feeling like it was about to burst. He said he turned around to look back up the stairs and he felt so much further down than how far he had gone.
I have dreams like that.
I know, where you just are never reaching where you need to reach.
Just like a really shitty nightmare between the lady talking to you and getting in the car accidents and having to run up the stairs because someone's chasing you. God.
So he sprinted back up the stairs and started crying, telling his friends that he needed to go to a church immediately. None were open, as it was nighttime around midnight. They did find a church, and he sat there.
God never closes.
Well, churches do. He sat there on the front steps of the church until the pastor showed up the next morning. The boy explained what had happened, and the pastor and the boy prayed for 3 hours. The boy said that it was the most intense praying he had ever experienced. Someone else claimed that they visited with some friends. He and his friends found the stairs, and as they were looking down them... Yeah, are we seeing a pattern here? So as they're looking down them, a bright light started to shine from above. They then heard a woman's voice tell them to leave. They took back off to their car, and when they were in the car, it started to accelerate without the driver touching the gas pedal. As they were approaching a dangerous corner, the dangerous road I'm talking about, they almost crashed, but the driver turned the car off just in time.
While it was going?
I guess.
Can you do that?
Well, I don't know. This man did. He ended his comment saying that there are evil spirits there.
But it's weird because that one thing said to get out.
Right. An evil voice telling him to leave. They said it wasn't like a nice voice being like, oh, could you guys please go? It was like an evil voice growling at them to leave.
I definitely knock down a few evil points if the evil voice is telling me to leave. Because at least it's giving me a chance to get the fuck out of there.
Right.
So it's a little bit nicer than maybe some of the other evil voices that don't tell me to leave and I go and then
just yell at me.
Yeah.
Yeah. So our next legend is that of the Lady of the Lake. Did you?
Look at that. Last time.
Oh, yeah. All right, so just a little trigger warning. There is domestic abuse in this story.
No, and that's fun as mine.
No. So who knew that there were beaches, waterfalls, and a temperate rainforest all in Washington?
I didn't.
I didn't either.
Actually, I did because I was reading some of that for the facts.
Oh.
So I knew about the rainforest.
I did not, and I think that's so cool.
Yes.
Well, all of these things are included in Washington's Olympic Peninsula. And sitting there is the beautiful Lake Crescent, known for having some of the cleanest and clearest water in the entire Northwest.
Is it shaped like a crescent?
No.
Oh.
I don't think so. So Lake Crescent is located near Port Angeles in the foothills of the Olympic Mountains. It is a popular location during the summer where it offers kayaking, paddleboarding, and sailing, but the shore is also a great place to lay out and enjoy the sun and the sand.
Love it.
And how is the water so clear? So there's little nitrogen in the water, meaning, Miss Teacher, meaning it doesn't support much phytoplankton, resulting in beautifully clear water. Science lesson. Nitrogen, no phytoplankton.
Phytoplankton is plants, though.
Yeah.
Surprised that there wouldn't be any in a lake.
Yeah, I don't know.
There are a lot of animals.
I don't know.
I feel like there can't be a lot of animals.
Probably not. But because of how clear the water is, it has also been given the nickname of Washington's Bottomless Lake. So I know your lake said it was 300 something below sea level, but I wonder how deep that means it is. Because this lake is 624 feet deep, which is over 182.2 meters, and 12 miles or 19.3 kilometers wide. The lake is deeper than the Space Needle and Seattle is tall. What this means is the only lake deeper in the state is Lake Chelan, the one you talked about.
Yeah.
I talked about in the facts.
Yeah.
In the 1960s, not even the Navy was able to determine this lake's true depth, like Lake Crescent. But later studies found that there are parts that are over 1,000 feet or 304.8 meters deep.
So to give you a frame of reference, since I blew the first science part, I'll redeem myself. The ocean layers, or the ocean floor and how it descends deeper and deeper and deeper, the part that we consider we've explored the most, pretty much majority of plants and animals live, is 200 to 300 meters.
Wow.
And then after that is when it starts getting dark and cold and creepy, and we don't know all that. So that means that this lake goes almost as deep as parts of our oceans.
Gross. So this lake is no stranger to blood and violence. Legends tell that the Klalim and the Quileute tribes fought a very bloody and deadly battle beneath Mount Storm King. So the mountain became angry and broke off a chunk of rock, which it threw in the valley over the battlefield.
Damn.
The rock killed many warriors and dammed the river that created Crescent Lake. The rock blocked the river's exit, which caused the lake to fill up and become so deep.
Ah.
So because of this legend, generations of Native Americans would not go near it.
Oh, interesting.
This beautiful lake
Bad luck lake.
Bad what?
Bad luck lake.
So this beautiful lake may now seem serene and calm on the surface, but it houses a sordid history. Hallie Latham Illingworth has become known as the Lady of the Lake. Hallie was originally born in Kentucky on January 8th, 1901, to a farming couple and spent most of her life bouncing around and exploring the country, trying to discover where she wanted to end up in life. She was 35 and was twice divorced, so she was looking for her new beginning. In 1936, she was living in Port Angeles and was waiting tables at the Lake Crescent Tavern. While she was working at the tavern, she became acquaintances with a man by the name of Montgomery Monty J. Illingworth, a local beer truck driver.
Never trust him.
Never. A beer truck driver.
I just met a man.
Neither. Well, yeah. Never trust a man. Monty was known to stop by the tavern before heading out on the road again, and he was a ladies' man. He had a charm that many, including Hallie, quickly fell in love with. So she fell in love.
You can't change him, ladies.
No. So she fell in love with Monty's charm. The two quickly wed, not even a year after Hallie had settled down on the Olympic Peninsula. But that love turned sour almost immediately because pretty soon, following their wedding, Hallie started coming into work covered in bruises. These bruises were usually accompanied by broken teeth and black eyes. And everyone knew their relationship was rocky and volatile. Not only would they argue inside of their apartment, but those arguments would continue to the outside of the tavern in the early morning hours. They even had one incident where the police were involved. Just 5 months after their wedding, around Christmas time on December 22nd, 1937, Hallie went missing. But according to Monty, she wasn't missing. She had just run off with an Alaskan sailor. The police and authorities believed the story, so just like that, her missing persons case was closed. Yeah. Her family was suspicious, though, as they hadn't heard a single thing from Hallie, which was odd for them to not hear from her and for her not to say anything. Right. They hadn't heard of her move, of her meeting this new sailor, like literally nothing. In 1938, Monty was granted a divorce and ran off with Hallie's sister's roommate.
Lisa wasn't her sister.
Right. When I first saw this, I was like, oh. And then I saw a roommate. I said, okay.
Honestly, at least it wasn't her fucking sister.
So the two ran off to California. Then on July 6, 1940, so 3 years after she went missing, fisherman Lewis Rolfe and his brother were out on the lake fishing when they noticed an object floating near the shoreline. As they got closer, they noticed that it was a woman wearing a green dress wrapped in 2 gray striped blankets tied together with rope. Authorities were immediately called and the body was removed from the water and taken to a medical examiner for an autopsy. The autopsy's name is not the best, last name. So an autopsy was performed by Harlan McNutt. I knew you would find that entertaining.
You said not good. I was thinking oh my God, it's going to be inappropriate. She's going to have to cut it out. That's
So McNutt was a young medical student. Come on, Bubba.
You can do it. Good boy.
You're so stupid. So strangely enough, minus a few fingers, toes, and the tip of the nose, the body was perfectly preserved.
Fingers and toes and a bit of a nose.
And according to McNutt, the body had the... Kenzie. According to our medical examiner...
Oh my goodness.
The body had the texture of soup, which is the medical term for saponification.
Why is this important?
It is. So the body had interacted with chemicals that were deep in the lake, essentially turning the skin into wax, which doctors called the ivory soap corpse.
Ugh.
The cold of the lake prevented decomposition, and the salts and calcium in the water slowly converted the tissue into a soap-like material called adipocyte.
It bothers me that they keep saying soap, because soap is clean, and this is a dead body.
Yeah, well, it has the soapy texture.
Yeah, I know, but I don't like it.
So the medical examiner had recalled, quote, there was no real smell or decay. During the process of the autopsy, he noticed that the body had been both strangled and beaten, with bruises and discoloration around the neck and evidence of extensive hemorrhages on the chest.
Mm.
The body wasn't identified right away as the fingers were missing, so fingerprints were impossible. And for the time, the woman became known as the Lady of the Lake. And with this new information, having the body, the police immediately started looking back at old closed cases and other cold cases to try to find anything that could help them figure out who this woman was.
Oh, well, at least they're looking at cold and closed.
Yeah, closed and cold.
Closed and cold.
Yes.
Keep going.
They also had two strong leads at this point. The first was that the woman had a dental extraction performed and had a very specific piece of dental work in her mouth. That dental work was traced back to a dentist from South Dakota who was known for this type of dental work. Using his records, he was able to confirm that the Lady of the Lake was Hallie Illingworth. The second big piece of information...
Tisk.
What?
He killed her.
Oh, yeah. The second big piece of information was the rope that had been found wrapped around the body. So the rope was able to be traced back to a local store, Sears and Roebuck. The authorities went to the store, and after tracking down old purchases, like 3-year-old purchases...
Which for back then, I'm sure was a lot.
Right. They found that the rope had been sold to the tavern owner who had brought it to tie up boats. The tavern owner remembered that he had loaned 50 to 100 feet of the rope to a beer salesman who needed help pulling his truck out of the mud. A rope that had never been returned that had been loaned to a man named Monty. Hallie's body was found in the water, almost perfectly preserved, after 3 years.
Wow.
So Monty was arrested in October of 1941 in Long Beach, California, and extradited to Washington, where his trial began on February 24th, 1942.
Damn straight.
It is believed by police that he tried to conceal the crime by
No kidding.
Right. By driving to the log cabin resort with Hallie's body in the trunk of his car, wrapped in the blankets and tied with the bundle of the rope. He then tied weights to her body, rowed to the deep part of the lake, and dropped her body overboard. And they believe that her body rose to the surface because after 3 years, the ropes had deteriorated.
Mm-hmm.
When questioned with this, Monty tried to say that he had seen Hallie on December 22nd, the day she went missing.
Okay.
He insisted that she went to work in the morning as usual, but that when she got home that day, they got into a heated argument. He said after the argument, he left and went downtown to cool off. When he finally returned, Hallie was gone and never saw her again.
Mm-hmm.
So abuse was brought up in the trial, where Monty said it was normal for couples to get into physical altercations.
No, it's not.
It's not. If you're in a physical altercation, that's abuse.
Yeah.
We should add the abuse hotline
number
in our show notes.
Okay.
He said, quote, "I struck Hallie. She also struck me. I never beat her up. I did not kill Hallie."
Yes, you did.
Yeah. The prosecution put forward the theory that Monty had strangled Hallie between 3 and 6 a.m. on December 22nd. He then placed her body in the trunk of his sedan and drove her to Crescent Lake, where he disposed of her. His trial lasted only 4 hours.
Damn!
Yep. On March 4th, 1942, Monty Illingworth was convicted of second-degree murder by the Tulalip County Superior Court and sentenced to life in prison at the Washington State Penitentiary in Walla Walla.
Nice.
But annoyingly, he was released on parole in 1951 after serving 9 years.
Of course.
And he lived the rest of his life in California before dying on November 5th, 1974 in Los Alamitos, California.
Hopefully it was painful.
I hope so. So apparently, this lake has a reputation for dead bodies. Serial killer Israel Keyes is known to have dumped at least one of his victims' bodies in the lake.
Mind me.
Israel Keyes is mainly Alaska, but he was kind of all over the United States. He would bury kill bags all around.
Okay.
And when the urge struck him to kill someone, he would go dig up the bag and go kill someone.
The newest season of Criminal Minds piggybacks off of that.
Oh, really?
That there are like these kill kits essentially all over.
It's so creepy.
Yes.
Oh, he's creepy. So today, people claim to see the ghostly form of a woman. Some reportedly have seen a lady in a white dress roaming the nearby woods, while others have seen her swimming beneath the surface of the lake.
No, thank you. No. No.
Isn't that awful?
No. No.
I knew I had to say that last because I knew you would react. Some locals say that when the mood is right, you can see the spirits of those who tragically died here wandering the lake. The Lady of the Lake is one, to include Russell and Blanche Warren. So in 1929, the Warrens were driving home but never made it. Their unsolved disappearance remained a mystery until 2002, when a dive team found their vehicle in the waters of Lake Crescent. Their bodies were never found.
Oh.
There was also a logger who had been in an ambulance after an accident. The ambulance careened into the lake. The medics were able to escape, but the logger wasn't so lucky.
Oh, no.
Isn't that awful?
That's terrifying.
That's terrifying. Some visitors to Crescent Lake claim that they have heard cries of help coming from Hallie, but legend says to not look to help as she might drag you into the lake. There's also an unsettling mist that seems to linger on the top of the lake. A Quileute storyteller passed along a story of the mist on the lake. The Quileute believed that when a person passes away, all of the good parts of their person move on, leaving behind only negativity. The darkness and negativity that is left behind is known as Tsui Yatko. The Quileute believe that the mist that hovers over the lake are the angry spirits, the Tsui Yatko trying to move on. So that's what the mist is. Right.
Now I'm going to be freaked out in fog. Great.
It was so foggy today. Did you see?
No.
Oh my God, I woke up this morning, I looked outside, I was like, is it downpour raining or is it foggy? So foggy.
The first time I went outside was when I came here. So.
Amazing.
Oh shit.
So next we have Mystery Rock. It was Saturday, May 14th, 1988. 13-year-old Jamie Parks and his friend Trevor Johnson went to explore the woods near their homes, which happened to be near the border of Canada. It was while they were exploring that they found a bizarre rock. That's up near Canada.
I don't know why, but for whatever reason, I feel like we're like here. I know we're not, but I don't know, for whatever reason, this is where we're supposed to be.
Mackenzie feels like we're in the Midwest.
And I know that that's not where Washington is.
No, it is not.
No.
So this bizarre rock they found had cryptic alien-like drawings all over it. When the boys got home, Trevor told his parents, Steve and Patty, about the strange rock that he and Jamie had found. The Johnsons were struggling a bit financially at this point. They had risked it all in a small dress shop that was opening in a new mall. With it still struggling, Patty took a second job as a receptionist, and Steve took on another job as a prison corrections officer. Patty soon quit her receptionist job to focus on the dress store and finally open it, but that backfired when construction fell behind.
Oh no.
So when Trevor told his parents about the rock, his dad, needing a distraction, decided to hike out with his son to see for himself. When Trevor and Steve got to the side of the rock, Steve was immediately very interested in it. It was believed that the markings on it belonged to an ancient Native American tribe.
Leave it alone.
Excavation and carbon dating in the area had been able to establish a human presence at Tumwater Falls, which is the area, on the Deschutes River as far back as 2,500 to 3,000 years ago.
Wow.
The Squascon and Nisqually tribes were established in the area and had built settlements at the falls, which they had called Tumwata, which meant strong water. During the winters, they were known to go to a peninsula called Chetwoot, which is present-day Olympia. So this rock was 4 feet tall and bore markings that resembled the rays of the sun, a water drop, 2 clumps of grass or perhaps a rising sun, an inverted keyhole, a backwards D, a triangle, and a C with a circle above the top. So just 2 days after looking at the stone, the Johnsons' luck started to change. Their dress shop's construction quickly finished. They were able to open the store and it immediately began to flourish. Soon after that, they were able to buy a movie theater and other shops in the same mall as their shop. They were able to afford a new house. The only solution they could come up with was that their newfound luck was all due to the strange stone.
Wow, that is very nice of those ancient Native American spirits to give you
I
that kind of
know.
luck, because normally they're not that nice.
No, they're like, you look at us.
Right. Put it back.
But a U.S. Forest Service archaeologist who specialized in the study of petroglyphs, Rich McClure, would disagree with this. He and a few others determined that the markings weren't made by the local Native Americans, as was first believed. He said that the markings only dated back to the 20th century at the earliest. He believes that they had been carved with metal tools within the last 100 years.
You know, because it's the good luck for me that just makes me think it cannot be a true ancient relic.
Right. So it was believed that the finding of the rock was part of the good fortune, and that the good fortune in finding the rock just happened to accompany each other.
No correlation.
Not one being the trigger for the other.
Yeah.
And that the rock being good luck influenced the Johnson subconscious into believing the symbols brought good luck. So acting on that suggestion, it had an effect of bringing good luck.
That's what
So
they
sort of like a
call
placebo effect.
manifesting.
Yeah. So it caused them to focus on good fortune and that to that extent enjoy the good fortune.
Oh my God, it's like when they say a positive outlook is better to have.
Right.
Weird.
So skepticfiles.com concluded this by saying, quote, the awareness, I'm not sure what this was, but had a capital A, indicates that the mind expecting good fortune tends to get it. The mind expecting difficulties and ill fortunes tend to draw that to them. Therefore, it can serve as a suggestive force to bring good luck if it is marketed and promoted properly with the right kind of suggestions.
I mean, it makes sense when you think about it, like the whole saying, when it rains, it pours.
Yeah.
You know, bad things start to happen, and so now you feel like only bad things are happening.
Yeah.
You know?
Yes.
Yes.
I understand. This awareness indicates that it appears it already has taken on the legend or aura of good luck from the stories that have been told, and this, in turn, is energizing the symbols to bring good luck.
So manifesting.
Yeah, okay. Exactly. So whatever the origin may have been, the Johnsons were grateful that Jamie and Trevor had found it that one day while out in the woods.
And this was with a friend, right?
Yeah, there's no story about Jamie. It's just...
I would be fucking pissed.
Right.
If
The
I
parents
was
are like,
Jamie.
you had all this good luck.
I would be like, give me the fucking rock.
They
Share.
didn't take the rock. They left it there.
Oh,
It
well,
was
then
just
Jamie
like
can't be pissed.
It was just like the seeing of the rock.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Weird.
So Unsolved Mysteries even covered it in an episode back in 1998. Then just a short little one to end on. So 28 miles from Seattle sits the little town of Auburn. Auburn dates back to 1891, making it one of the oldest cities in Washington. But it wasn't always known as Auburn because for a time it was called Slaughter.
Good.
But not for a bad reason. It was in order to honor Army Lieutenant William Slaughter, who died in 1855 in a battle with local Native Americans.
That's like, it sounds good in theory, but execution.
Yeah, exactly. So
Pun
Auburn...
intended. Huh? Execution. Love it.
I'll give that one to you. Auburn isn't without its own scary story, though, and that would be the story of the faceless roamer. So back when Auburn was known as Slaughter, a wealthy landowner sold a majority of his property to help the town grow, and that is the property that the town now sits on. It is said that the landowner now wanders the downtown streets at night, mainly A Street. And how did we get his name, you ask? Well, he doesn't have a face.
I figured.
He has been known to walk through walls of local businesses, scaring the patrons.
That's not nice.
But no one knows why he is unhappy or why he walks the streets without a face. But then I thought, how do you know he's unhappy if he doesn't have a face?
Absolutely.
There's no way to know.
Yeah.
But some say maybe he's unhappy due to the way that his land has been used. Others say that he just enjoys scaring the locals. But
I definitely think it'd be more the last one.
Oh, yeah. But either way, if you're out late at night in Auburn on A Street, keep an eye out for the faceless roamer.
I will not keep an eye out for anything ever. I will make sure that my eyes don't see a goddamn thing. I can't
with your blinders.
see anything.
But yeah, so those are some urban legends in Washington.
Very interesting. I like the Lady of the Lake.
Yes.
That's a good one.
Yes. Because I found, the little that she floats under the surface. And I said, well, that's terrifying. Let's look into that.
That's
and then
icky.
it ended up being true crime.
I like it.
But it just wasn't long enough to be the whole story.
Fair.
So I was like, well, this is a perfect little urban legend to throw in. Well, crime was real. All the things about her are the urban legend.
Right. Supposedly.
Supposedly.
It could all be.
What, seeing the lady floating under the water?
Mhm.
It could be.
Could all be.
And I would never want to see that.
No, it's like a mirror at night.
Yeah.
Or like when it's dark. A reflection of not your face in the water. And fucking windows, man.
Yeah.
No.
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 But yeah.
Wow. I like it. Very good.
Thank
Very
you.
good.
Thank you. What Washington story do you have, Mackenzie?
I have a great story.
Okay.
When I was editing last week's episode, I just laughed at how unserious I took everything. And, when it's not a crime, I can't help it.
Right.
So this is not a crime. Well, maybe. I think Robert Stack from Unsolved Mysteries provides an excellent introduction to this story. It all happened in Oakville, Washington, population 665. Here in Oakville, clouds fill the skies daily, bringing some 275 days a year. A year of rain.
No.
So when it began pouring on the morning of August 7th, 1994, great year, no one was particularly concerned until they realized it wasn't raining rain. It was raining...
Was it raining men?
No. This story is closer to that of like the Oobleck story of Dr. Seuss than that one.
Dr. Seuss, who was born on my birthday.
See? Comes full circle.
It does.
It was raining tiny blobs of gelatinous goo.
That's disgusting.
Came down in torrents, blanketing 20 square miles, and brought with it something of a plague.
Ew.
So today I bring you the story of the Oakville Blobs. Mysterious natural phenomenon or government?
The government doesn't want you to say anything.
Or government can
Let's try again.
Or government cover-up conspiracy.
There you go.
Let's find out. It was the early morning hours when Officer David Lacey was on patrol when it began to rain. As soon as the officer turned on his wipers, the rain began to smear across his windshield.
Ew.
Eventually, he couldn't see and pulled into a gas station to try to clean it off. While doing so, Lacey noticed that the substance had a strange consistency. He said, quote, "The substance was very mushy. It's almost like if you had Jell-O in your hand and you could pretty much squish it through your fingers. We did have some bells go off on our heads that basically said, this isn't right. This isn't normal." Lacey wasn't the only one to witness the strange goo that seemed to be falling from the sky. Resident Sunny Barclift told the Lewiston Tribune in 1994 that she had first noticed the blobs dotting a black asphalt roof on her family's 29-acre farm. Her mother, Dottie Hearn, thought it might be hail, but noticed the substance was only about the size of a grain of rice.
Oh, they're much smaller than I thought.
Yes, which took me a little bit to understand because when you see pictures of it, it looks like a glob of goo.
Yeah.
So I think it's like a bunch of these little things all stacked together.
Oh, okay.
It was crystal clear in color, and when Dottie touched it, she noticed it had an odd gelatinous texture.
I don't know if my first thought would be, let me touch this weird thing that just fell on my roof.
Oh, mine would be. 100%. I am that kid that I will touch everything. I'll touch everything in the store.
I do that too. We have this moss wall at work, and there was a sign that said, please do not touch.
Oh, I would touch.
And I think so many people wanted to touch that now there's a little sample moss wall that you can touch that one instead.
Love that. Not long after Dottie touched the blob, she got very ill with flu-like symptoms.
See, that's why you don't touch things.
Well, yeah, of course. Duh. Germs. But
oh my God.
It's not going to stop me. Although I probably would have put a glove on. I don't think I would have touched it with my bare
or
hands.
poke it with a stick.
Yeah, I definitely would have touched it in some way, though.
Yeah, but I wouldn't have touched it. I would touch things, just not with my bare hands.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Her daughter, Sunny, ended up taking Dottie to the hospital after she had collapsed. Dottie was experiencing severe dizziness and nausea. Sunny and a friend had also touched the goo and began to experience similar symptoms.
Oh my gosh.
A kitten that had been recently adopted by the family and lived outside. She's got a lot of cats on her farm to get rid of unwanted rodents.
Oh.
Sunny and her mom believe the kitten died from ingesting the goo. They reported that she had struggled for a few days with intestinal problems.
The baby.
A few days later, it rained again, and the goo was again deposited from what seemed like the sky.
Oh my gosh.
After a few days in the hospital, Dottie did return home. Dr. David Little treated Dottie and believed her symptoms were caused by an inner ear problem, which that shit does suck and make you dizzy as hell. So, I get it. It's not a far-fetched.
I bet she didn't touch it again.
No.
If
not
she
without
did,
gloves.
she would be stupid.
Not without gloves. At the time, newspapers reported that Dottie and Sunny were the only ones to report seeing any of the blobs and getting sick after touching it. It was later discovered during the filming of the Unsolved Mystery episode in 1997 that many people around town had actually had experiences with these blobs. So our friend Officer Lacey had reported getting very ill with fatigue and nausea right after touching the goo. And another local, Beverly Roberts, told the Chronicle that she grew curious about the goo and took some home to take a closer look. Within 24 hours, she began to experience weird symptoms, including vertigo, and had to seek medical care. She also told them that 12 of her friends' animals died soon after the goo fell. She said that one day she found 2 gallons of the stuff sitting on the side of the road with a dead frog and raven a few feet away.
Oh.
Appearing to have died after ingesting the substance. Others in town were reporting upper respiratory infections and inner ear infections around the time that the blobs appeared. Beverly ended up staying in the hospital for close to a week.
Wow.
Later on, doctors actually reported seeing spikes in patients being diagnosed with inner ear problems and respiratory issues around the time the blobs came. Over the next 3 weeks, the blobs showed up 6 more times, and always after it rained. Beverly told Unsolved Mysteries, quote, everybody in the whole town came down with something like the flu, only it was a really hard flu that lasted from 7 weeks to 2 or 3 months.
7 weeks?
Yeah.
Jeez.
2 or 3 months.
That's when I would think I was dying.
Yeah. A lot of people had commented being like, pre-COVID testing? COVID-24? COVID-94?
No.
Around the same time as the blobs, Jim and Kathy Bellinger reported seeing dead crabs along the Washington coast. They also saw a clear gel-like goo nearby, and both Kathy and her dog touched it, and both became ill the following day.
It's just such a human thing. Like, what is this? Let me touch it.
Pretty much. Kathy told reporters, quote, it's weird.
That it is, Kathy.
That so is, Kathy. Another resident, Maurice Scobelli, told Unsolved Mysteries, quote, I got sick, my wife got sick, my daughter, everybody that lived here got sick. Officer Lacey told the TV show, quote, I was to the point where I could hardly breathe. I started to put together that possibly, whatever the substance was, it made me violently sick like I'd never been before, to the point where I just totally shut down. No one could figure out what the blobs were and where they were coming from, but that did not stop people from trying. So first, we're going to go into the official testing and analysis that was done of the substance.
Oh my goodness.
So Dr. David Little, who's Dottie's doctor.
I just want to say Dr. Doolittle.
Oh my God, I'm so glad you said that. That was literally every time I read his fucking name. That's my thought. You are Dr. Doolittle now. Dr. David Little was the first to analyze the substance after Dottie Hearn came in complaining of dizziness and nausea. Dr. Little didn't believe the blobs had anything to do with Dottie's symptoms, but both Sonny and Dottie insisted, and it said it was not an inner ear problem. Sonny asked Dr. Little if he would have his lab take a look, and he agreed. The lab tech placed the substance under a microscope, and Dr. Little reported that there may have been white blood cells within the substance.
Yuck!
But Sonny wanted to know more. She still didn't have the answer as to how or why the blobs fell from the sky. The samples were sent to the Washington Department of Health, where microbiologist Mike McDowell was going to test the different samples. He put the gel on bacterial media to see if it would grow anything, which I guess is what you call it when you in like a petri dish and see what happens.
Oh.
When being interviewed for a show on National Geographic, they found 2 bacteria. The first one,
Pseudomonas fluorescens.
and the second one,
Enterobacter cloacae.
I am not fucking trying to say those. So you're
Both credit to Google for pronouncing those for us.
Yes. Exactly. And you're going to hear it again when I have to pronounce one of the words a second time. Both of these have been debated whether or not they could cause serious illness. Some have said that these bacteria are common to find in our guts and digestive system.
Yuck.
Well, we have bacteria.
Well, yeah.
Apparently,
Aren't we more than half bacteria?
it's like the bacteria on our face, like skin, is like if we didn't have it, we would die immediately.
Oh.
I heard that somewhere. I don't know where. So
Props bacteria.
don't quote me on it as being correct. I'm not a scientist after all. The
Enterobacter cloacae.
could possibly be a pathogen, but typically only affects people who are immunocompromised.
Oh. So it is sounding a lot like COVID.
Yeah. The sample was also sent to Mike Osweiler of the Department of Ecology, who reported that the sample contained, quote, a number of cells of various sizes. It was believed that they came from a once living creature, but there were no human white blood cells. That was not found anywhere else. Plus, it was only looked under a microscope. It wasn't chemically analyzed.
I gotcha.
About a year after her mother had gotten sick, Sonny sent a sample to a private research lab. Tim Davis with Amtest Laboratories studied the sample and reported seeing, quote, what I think was, oh, I forgot to do this one. No, I can say this. Eukaryotic. Fuck it.
You're chaotic.
That too. What I think was a, see, I always forget.
Eukaryotic.
Eukaryotic, Bubba.
Tim Davis with Amtest Laboratories studied the sample and reported seeing, quote, what I think was a
Eukaryotic.
cell, which is basically a cell that has a definable nucleus and is found present in most animals. Because there was also debate whether or not they had a nuclei.
Why did you practice saying it if you're just going to hold your microphone to it?
Because I knew that at the end of the day, I was not going to get it, so I might as well just keep doing what works.
Okay.
Just having somebody else read it. So basically, the only thing that the scientists could agree on was that the goo most likely came from a living creature.
That's disgusting.
Still no answers about exactly what the substance was or where it could have possibly come from. We know that when people aren't given an answer or a satisfying one, they decide to come up with their own. So for the theories,
Yes.
I put these in order from most likely to most outlandish.
Okay.
Number 1, star jelly, which is a catch-all term for a natural phenomenon in which slime molds appear gooey.
Slime mold.
Yeah, it's like
Okay.
any weird natural goo you see in the earth is star jelly, no matter where it comes from.
I love that name.
Yeah, not what it means.
No.
One report I read said it can also refer to frog spawn vomited up on land by overindulging magpies, birds.
Yeah, I know what magpies are.
Okay.
I didn't know there were any in Washington. I thought they were only in Australia. They like attack you. They're like really aggressive birds.
Reports of the goo can be traced back as far as the 14th century. However, this theory doesn't account for the blobs falling from the sky. It is unclear how many people reported seeing the drops fall or whether they just simply accompanied rain. This conspiracy could be nothing more than a natural occurrence like star jelly and happened to be accompanied by a handful of illnesses. Someone might have established correlation without causation.
I don't
I
know.
don't know.
And also, how did it cover such a large area?
It was just this town.
Yeah, but like the whole town.
I don't know.
You said it was like 200 square miles or something. 20 square miles. That's still big.
Yeah. I think the lady's farm was bigger.
You did say she was like 27 acres. And I was like, how much of the farm, like how much of the town does her farm cover?
Right.
But
Yes.
still, that's a large area where it's not just like.
Especially when you realize a lot more people had experiences with it than like what the media first reported.
Right.
Yeah.
And you know, like if it were something where it was like the, whatever you said, the frog
Spawn.
or whatever. How many frogs are throwing up spawn? Like,
No, it's the birds that are throwing up the frog spawn.
oh, right. Sorry, of course. But
Get
how
it
many,
right, Lauren.
how many are doing that at one time?
Right.
Yeah.
No, absolutely. We got more. Don't worry. It's just the first one.
But you said this was the most likely.
The star jelly part.
Mm.
The correlation part is just like because it doesn't.
Trying to be scientific, yes.
Yeah, it doesn't
Mhm.
cover every piece of it or whatever.
Right.
But star jelly. So the next one we have, theory number 2.
Knew it.
You
I was
can't
waiting.
bring people back from the dead. That's not what the theory is. The theory is discharged waste from a plane. So Dr. Little had theorized that the blobs were possibly discharged waste from a plane. He said that it would explain the white blood cells his lab found and the fact that it sickened and killed animals. Planes typically use antifreeze in their lavatory systems, which is toxic to animals and humans, but not cars.
You're so proud of yourself.
I just thought of that one on the spot. It's not even written in my notes. However, the FAA, also known as the FAA.
I'm going to go. Oh my God, guys, she's wiping her eyes.
You do things that are just unintentional and just turn out to be so funny. So anyway, they debunked the idea. Because planes, for one thing, were not permitted to just dump their waste
Right.
anywhere. For another thing, the chemicals that they use actually turn it blue, and the blobs were clear.
And it happened over 6 times.
That too. So another theory is agriculture pest control. So this idea comes from a comment on a Reddit post. And this comment was left on one of the various YouTube videos about the Oakville Blobs. User Needless said, quote, from the YT video top comment, "Hi, I'm a biologist. Maybe I can help. The particular microbes found in the blobs were specific ones used as agricultural pest control. Also, there was a government agricultural research agency right next to the town. I think they did some experimental crop dusting and did the wrong coordinates. And because it's the government, they decided to lie low and not claim responsibility."
I mean, that one seems pretty valid.
The Reddit user goes on to say, "I like this theory the best, therefore the theory it is." Another user, Mr. R. Lee Stoned. Nice. I'm sorry. That's not.
Oh, God.
You know what?
M Junior.
Majorly stoned.
Oh! Oh, that's smart.
Yeah. Anyway, so another user, Majorly Stoned, agreed with Needless and said, quote, Reddit likes to think way too hard about something so simple. They did chemical composition analysis. They were microbes used in pest control. I have found nowhere that they have done a chemical composition analysis. BT dubs.
Oh.
No one knows what caused it because, of course, no one is taking the blame if they don't have to. Prevalent theory is that the Agriculture Research Agency, government-controlled, was just outside the town where this took place, tested the wrong thing or tested the wrong place. This isn't a conspiracy. It's just a mystery where it originated because no one has any evidence of its origin. Number 4, military bioweapon testing.
Ooh, this is always my favorite theory.
So in an article posted on medium.com, they shared that Sunny Barclift, Dottie's daughter, contacted a website. The link was broken. I tried it, but they do provide like the full, well, at least what looks like the full text of whatever she wrote to these people.
Okay.
To give her account of what happened, because apparently some of the facts on the Unsolved Mystery episode were incorrect. You can read the whole thing if you go to our show notes and on our Works Cited page, if you would like. But the part I would like to share with you is her theory about the blobs based on the work that Mike McDowell from the Washington State Health Lab did. Here's what she said. Quote, the gel specimen was locked in a medium containment facility and over time Mike continued to research it. At some point, he drew the conclusion that the material itself was man-made and was being used as a matrix, a vehicle capable of transporting a virus or bacteria. He did report his findings to a superior. So like, think of like the gel is what holds the bacteria in it.
Okay.
When he returned to the lab at some point, he discovered the substance was missing. Again, he reported this to his superior and was advised at that point not to ask any questions. Mike is retired now and still does occasional interviews regarding the subject. I trust his judgment and his findings as he was a credible expert in the field. Mike was interviewed 4 or 5 years ago on a program on the National Geographic Channel. The information about the substance missing was revealed in the program. I suspect he was reluctant to speak of it while still employed.
Right.
He stated that it was the first time in 30 years of service with his job that a sample he was responsible for had gone missing.
Ooh.
Many people interviewed for the Unsolved Mystery episodes also believe that has something to do with some sort of military testing. And the Air Force did confirm that it was practicing bombing runs over the Pacific, which is about 50 miles from the town. However, they denied any knowledge of the unknown substance or any involvement in creating or dispersing it.
Duh. Yeah, they're gonna be like, yeah, we did that.
My bad, guys. But some locals were not reassured. Sonny Barclough said, "We had a significant amount of military aircraft flying over the home prior to this happening." And Dottie Hearn said, "Every day almost, we had slow flying bombers, helicopters, all black in color. We kind of thought maybe it might have come from them." Maurice Gobelli said, "They let off things in the air all the time here. There's testing done all over the place. There are a lot of places you can't go into." And Beverly Roberts said, "Maybe we were a biological experiment of some kind, a small one, just to get people a little sick to find out, say, if an enemy did come over here with a biological bomb or something and dropped it, maybe it was just a test run to see how and what would happen."
This is my favorite theory so far.
Oh, this one is going to be better. So this leads us very nicely into my favorite theory about the mystery substance. It's jellyfish.
Okay.
Okay.
Let's hear this.
So speculation arose not long after the blobs arrived on what they were. One popular theory suggests that the blobs were the result of bombing runs done by the nearby military base, which we know is true.
Mm-hmm. Which we know is true.
In the ocean, 50 miles or 80 kilometers from Oakville, which could have caused an explosion within a group of jellyfish that then got dispersed into a rain cloud.
But 6 times?
Sunny thought this theory was ridiculous. Telling Unsolved Mysteries, someone theorized that since the Navy had been conducting live bombing runs at sea, don't tell the Air Force that, they're going to get pissed. They might have blown up a school of jellyfish. And of course, the jellyfish would have been thrown into the air and floated 50 miles inland over a period of 3 weeks and fallen 6 times. I find that somewhat preposterous. But the theory was so prevalent in the community that it was actually reported in the Seattle Post-Intelligencer at the time that this was being reported. And this is what it said. "It's not clear who should get the credit for proposing this theory, but it's based on the fact that the blobs appeared around the time that the Air Force was dropping bombs in the Pacific Ocean off the Washington coast. They were conducting bombing runs using live ordnance," says Master Sergeant Thaddeus Hosley, spokesman at McCord Air Force Base. Hosley said that the 354th Fighter Squadron was flying last week and this week, dropping bombs about 10 to 20 miles west of the ocean shores. So already they're 10 to 20 miles from the beach, let alone the 50 from.
Mm-hmm.
Despite the 40 to 50 miles separating the bombing runs and the blob fallout, Oakville Chief of Police Gary Grube said somebody suggested a school of jellyfish might have been blown literally sky high. McCord's Hosley, trying but failing to stifle a laugh, said he could not comment on the jellyfish theory. So, some honorable mentions.
Well, okay, let's talk about the jellyfish theory real quick. I can see how they are like little bits of jellyfish that's gelatinous. That would make sense. But like what I think you said, Sunny said,
Yeah.
How do they go 50 miles?
Yeah.
50 miles is a far distance.
I'm all for saying that, like, our rain is now dinosaur piss. Don't get me wrong, but, like, that's a stretch.
Yeah.
Like, I get it.
And 6 times?
Yeah. Well, at the time that the newspaper was printing, it was only Sunny and her mom that had seen it.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's why that, like, the jellyfish was a little bit more...
Okay. I mean, still...
big of a theory because, like, apparently people were talking about having a whole festival.
Doing a jellyfish festival?
The jellyfish festival.
I actually kind of love that.
Me too.
My favorite part of the aquarium is always the jellyfish area.
Of course it is.
I love it. It's so cool.
Mm-hmm.
I love the jellyfish. Did you know there's a jellyfish that's this big and it can kill you with one sting? And this big, I'm saying like an inch. No one can see if I'm saying like this big or this.
Small. She's saying it's really tiny.
Itty bitty.
Itty bitty.
Itty bitty itty bitty face.
So some honorable mentions. And these are the comments that have been left on posts about this blob, and they either maybe chuckle or they kind of sound a little plausible.
Okay.
On the Unsolved Mysteries blog post, Bruce H. said, quote, "The gel appears to be the same type that's used in diapers. Rectilinear, clear, sticky blobs. Maybe a dust devil or some twister dragged through the dump site, picked it up and scattered it around. Could explain the bacterial, DNA, and toxic contents." But users Ezerbets and Sandra, they disagree with Bruce.
I disagree with Bruce too.
Ezerbets, said that every time, commented, "And you think the scientists examining what it was made of wouldn't be able to identify it? The super absorbent polymers that are used in disposable diapers are not only easily identifiable, they're not even the same substance." And Sandra commented a few months later saying, "I understand what you're saying. However, if it is used diapers, there would be evidence of urine and stool. I would also look at the fact that it happened 6 times. One scientist at least found 2 unknown bacteria."
That's the main thing, is that it happened 6 times.
Right.
So it can't be any of these weird, like, oh, this weird random one-time event.
Right.
6 times.
Right. Exactly.
Over the span of, like, weeks.
Just 3 weeks. Yeah.
Yeah.
So supposedly the USAF, aka the United States Air Force,
The USAF.
the USAF, supposedly they commented on the Unsolved Mysteries post.
Oh.
Supposedly.
Oh.
And they said,
Supposedly.
this is due to an experiment using chemicals to absorb moisture to avoid damages due to hurricanes and tornadoes. There was a silicone powder, which the USAF released, a silicone powder compound above storm clouds in an effort to absorb the moisture within the clouds to avoid heavy rainfall, etc. The test was abandoned. It was called Operation Popeye. Gee, hope I don't disappear for disclosing what is already public information. And then they proceed to put a link to the NOAA, NOAA website about the experiment.
Interesting.
But apparently the link is useless.
Is the person still with us?
I don't know. Someone commented on it and said it didn't work.
Oh.
Just probably to like a Google search page.
Oh.
But BT56 said, according to the link you included, Operation Popeye existed, but happened in Vietnam and ended in 1972.
Oh.
Reddit user Fragrant Chard 7937 said, nostoc, a type of freshwater blue-green algae, forms spherical colonies made of filaments of cells in a gelatinous sheath. When on the ground, it is orderly.
No, you spoke too soon.
When on the ground, it is
When
on the ground, it is ordinarily not seen, but after rainfall, it swells up into conspicuous. I know these words too.
I know you do.
But after rainfall, it swells up into a
Conspicuous?
that jelly-like mass, which is sometimes called star jelly.
Oh, so they're on the star jelly thing too.
To which another user, Depaji206, replied saying, nice try, CIA. However, Comfortable Temp agreed with Fragrant Chard 7937, saying, it's not still a mystery. This is a type of gelatinous algae called nostoc, found on land and in oceans that tend to swell up like this after rain falls with the right climate. It's often clear but can have tinges of color depending on the location, usually found in grass but can end up just about anywhere. It also isn't a rare occurrence, as recorded sightings date back for centuries. Sometimes it's called witch butter because coming in contact with it can make you ill.
Oh.
It also evaporates rather quickly as temperatures return to normal after rainfall. You can use a pelargonic acid, a rather common type of herbicide used to prevent weeds, not nearly as scary as it sounds, to get rid of those blobs if you find them invasive. But my favorite comment, and easily the most plausible, is from some sort of random question forum about the blob and what they were. And this user, he gives, or she, a very clear and precise reason for the blobs.
Okay, let's hear it.
Not a whole lot of mystery. Not long-lasting, and had 2 viruses in them. My guess is that there's some sort of interdimensional life form that occasionally hits us, perplexing all. The phenomenon that fell from one dimension to ours, only to fade away like raining frogs and fish.
Okay.
So, the answer to this conspiracy theory is that it's interdimensional life form.
Okay.
Yeah. So, in conclusion, according to one source, Officer David Lacey refuses to give up investigating these strange blobs. He received an anonymous letter from someone claiming to have witnessed the incident and who had worked on a secret military project.
Ooh.
According to the letter, the Oakville Blobs were a result of government experiment gone wrong, and the military has been covering up the incidents ever since. David shared the letter with local authorities and investigators, but they dismissed it as hearsay and refused to investigate further. Undeterred, David continues to work on the case, convinced that the truth is still out there. Sonny Barcliffe said, quote, over the years, I have held some information close to me. Very little about it has been released to the press. However, 2 years ago, some information surfaced on the internet that led me to the conclusion that the Oakville event was, in fact, a continuity exercise conducted by the military. The blobs remain unexplained to this day, and the evidence of the blobs are now gone. Evaporated, purposefully misplaced. Multiple sources have reported that the Washington Department of Health has said that they have no records of the samples ever being received.
Oh.
So I think this quote from a Vocal Media article sums up this story pretty well. Quote, while the mystery of the Oakville Blobs may never be solved, it serves as a reminder that the unknown is still out there. Sometimes the truth is stranger in fiction. We may never fully understand the mysteries of our world. And those are the Oakville Blobs.
So I think the most plausible sounding one was that one where it falls and it absorbs water and it gets bigger and it's called like the witch butter, like that whole thing.
Yeah. I like
my
layer.
favorite though. I still like the military testing. I always like the military testing.
Well, see, that one of the theories can work in many situations.
Yes.
Especially with like the guy not misplacing the substance,
Yeah.
but it being lost, so to speak.
Yes.
I mean, he said like he was the one who admitted that it had been lost and that he had been told, don't
worry about it.
Don't worry about it. Don't look into it. And so from what I gather from what Sonny said he reported on was that this military testing, like what's her name said, Barbara, about the biochemical whatever.
Yeah.
Because this gelatinous goo is a container and contains whatever virus. And so they were testing it, which is why a bunch of people got sick, but not like severely in the sense of like longer flu symptoms than they would typically have, but still, you know, nothing obviously deadly necessarily.
Not deadly for us.
Well, true.
But if you're dropping it, say, in a place that doesn't have good medical care or people are malnourished.
Well, right. So whether it was testing to have our own defense or testing to put on somebody else, who knows? But it works because you can line it up with everything.
Yeah, exactly.
I love the jellyfish. And I really wish the town had capitalized on having a jellyfish festival.
They absolutely should have.
Because I think that would have just made this legend so much better.
Yes.
But I will have to say, interdimensional life, man.
I do like that one too.
You know, he said it so confidently, even though it was written.
See, that's the thing. Like when I said that one word and you looked at me perplexed that I knew the word, I didn't know the word. I just sounded confident. He
knew, there's no mystery.
Right.
It's interdimensional life.
Right. Duh. How'd you not know that?
Hello. Watch enough Doctor Who and Rick and Morty and you're like, of course.
Of course it's a thing.
Yeah.
Let me just get my interdimensional gun and we'll go travel. Right.
Although it's never mind. I'm not going to go down that rabbit hole.
No.
If you want to talk to me about Doctor Who and Rick and Morty, you know where to find me.
Well, this one was fun. I remember one of our state facts, I like wrote a sentence about this. Did not know that it would have been able to be like, that it was like this much.
So, okay, when I was looking for it and I read about it, I was like, no fucking shot is this going to be enough information for a whole story? And I'm like, oh my God.
When I saw you put it on the spreadsheet, I was like, how is she going to talk for this much time about this one thing?
I didn't know either. I also myself doubted it, but I do that a lot where I think the story it feels short because it's like very concise, like A, B, C, D happened instead of, you know, A, E, B, you know, that kind of thing. But then when I like really write it all out, I can fluff.
Just like these things, fluffy. Jelly.
Jelly.
Well, thanks for listening to Washington.
I have to poo.
Well, we're not going to keep that in unless you want it to stay in.
I edit this half.
You do edit this half.
It'll be a game time decision because most likely by the time I do, I won't remember I said this.
No, you won't. You'll be like, oh my God. Well, thanks for listening.
As always.
As always, rate and review us, as always.
Yes.
And let us know when you do. So thank you for listening and stay scary.
Stay safe.